Well, welcome everyone to another episode of GIQUE Critique. Today we will be ranking Best Picture nominations. We are here with Peter Osterweil and Caoimhe Morris. I'm going to let them introduce themselves a bit.
I'm deferring to you. Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Caoimhe. I was here before. I do cosplay. I would love to be an actress, and I'm here today.
Yeah, there you go. Look at
she
that.
most certainly is here today.
There should be a series of just those.
Hi, I'm Peter Osterweil. I'm a huge nerd, which I don't know if that works here. I feel like it's okay.
Yeah. Because we're geek?
Geek, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Similar
It's okay.
vibes.
It's
a
the
little
same.
bit.
It's adjacent.
I'm also geek adjacent.
Yes.
Right? I'm also an actor, and I do daily facts on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. If you're looking for an interesting fact, I'm the guy that has some of them.
You ready to dive
Well,
in?
let's see what our first nomination is. We have American Fiction.
It's a good, strong opener.
So I am going to leave it to you because I actually haven't seen this one yet, but I will. Yeah, I will. Give
Just
it to
really
you.
quick, just so you
yes.
know, sorry, before you begin, it
Please.
is a commentary on Black, I guess, culture and how we perceive it also as Black people and how the world perceives it and how we kind of have to put on that Black accent or that Black fake accent, you know, the way that we have to be and exist in order to get our recognition, again, that big word, and just how we're able to exist in the world. And it's, as Vivian mentioned earlier, it's like a satire, it's a play, and it's interesting how far we have to go being the antithesis of who we want to be in order to get the things we want in life.
Yeah. Well, might I just say, starting off, the poster goes crazy.
It goes
I just have to say that is the poster's genius. Sorry, as somebody that likes to kind of do like little drawings over stuff, goes crazy. Continue. Go for it.
If you were to ask me, this was a very hard decision for me.
Really?
Whether it would be 1 or 2, and I'm going to put it at 2.
Okay, we're starting
yes.
off pretty high
I love that
there.
because it's the living room. You have something else that's going to
I
go for
do
the
have
one.
something else for 1.
Oh, I'm interested to know that one.
Here's my thoughts on American Fiction. I think the acting is superb. I think Sterling K. Brown of all of them is the highest, in my opinion. Should be the winner.
In the category?
In the category. I believe Sterling K. Brown does a good enough job there. I think what I like so much about American Fiction is it is one of the very rare movies I've seen that is telling a point and showing the point at the exact same time. It is very, very rare. Jasmine went over a brief overview of like what the story is, but that's not actually really what the story is. The point is Thelonious, what they call Monk because of the jazz bassist, is that he wants to write Black stories, but they're telling him he should write a certain type of Black stories.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the entire movie is telling a Black story that isn't the type of Black story that he's writing about. So the movie is doing specifically what Thelonious is advocating for, while not just saying this is what we should be doing.
It's like a play within a play.
It's really like the conceit, the plot of the film is smaller than the actual film itself, unlike another movie we'll talk about later. And I really like that. I think that's superb filmmaking. I think when we look at some of the best films ever made, you see things like that.
Yeah, which I think is, I can't wait to see it personally. I know that it's still in theaters, so I wasn't able to see it yet, but I'm very excited to see it.
And all of these films are coming back because they've been nominated.
Yeah.
So over the months, you'll have plenty of opportunities to watch all 10 of these films.
Oh, yeah. And then I'll come back and have
One last shout out Boston. I'm from Boston. A lot of that was
Just the entirety
just so
of
you
Boston.
guys know,
Every single
a
person
lot of it
in
was
Boston.
filmed in Boston. That did not weigh on my personal critique, even though it did shoot in parts of my hometown, this little sliver of Boston. I was like, oh, that's my bookstore.
Shout out to Boston.
Ooh, nice.
Shout out to Boston.
Are we on to the next
Shout out
one?
to Boston
Yeah, so next
people.
one we have
Boston food.
Cast Live.
Do you still have tears in your eyes from
Oh
A
my
little
God,
bit, they're
the
like
pain.
dried now.
Oh, the pain.
As someone who loves romance and unrequited love, this film. But it's not about me. What do you guys think?
This one breaks
I'm gonna
my
let
heart.
you go first.
Okay.
'cause
Yeah, I
hot.
personally, I loved it. I saw it last night and I thought that it was a beautiful way of telling a story about like love and how like realistic love is. It's like you fall out of it, you come back, you fall out of it, you come back, you make the decision, I'm all set. Like, you know, like I really love that. Originally, actually, when I first saw the trailer and they said past lives, I thought it was gonna be them going through multiple different lives
what I thought too.
and meeting each other. That's what I thought. But then it ended and I was like, you know what? I still really enjoyed it. Like I really loved the like way that it was very realistic to how love is, because sometimes like they do, I think, like love stories and they do have aspects of reality, but this one really showed you like you fall out of it and you come back and you fall out of it and come back, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and it's very
No, please,
I was saying
please.
it's very sacrificial too with seeing the way they decide to fall out of love, because it's almost like not their choice but their choice.
Yeah.
So they were making decisions based off of what would be best for them, and that also makes it more heartbreaking.
Yeah, and also there was like, respectfully, there was like so many like they communicated so much that it almost felt more like, I think with a lot of like other romance, it's kind of showing like younger people in love, but this was showing like like younger people going to adulthood and seeing them like change from love. Like even when they were kids, they were very much just like, okay, yeah, bye, we're not going to talk about this, we're just going to let it simmer, bye, like, and that's it. But like when they were adults, they were just like, yeah, I was in love with you, so like that's crazy.
That open communication, it's nice though, but to have that conversation, even when they switched to just speaking Korean, just both of them together, and you could see in real time them realizing, oh, this is more than real, this is what I want, but I can't have this.
Yeah, can we talk about the husband real quick? The husband?
Let's let Peter get his
No, please. I want to
hear
hear what everyone's rankings is, because I have a hot ranking on this one. And I want to hear I know you're not giving rankings, but this is one respectfully I'd like to hear your opinions on, ranking wise.
I personally, now all of y'all are winner because you got in the top 10, but I personally would put it at like 4, because I have other ones that I really love.
What you guys think, because this is
Sure. I want to know what you think. What do you, Jasmine?
it's romance, so it's the romances go high. I personally, for obvious reasons, because I'm rooting for others, other specifically. This would be my 2. And in fact, if this won Best Picture, I would be so happy.
Yeah.
I truly would. I think that it has everything it needs. Personally, for me, it just is a perfect film for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's a perfect film about human relation, and again, romance in a way that is real, and human connection that is real, because not everything has to be, it's similar to Parasite.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't need, and I don't even mean just because it's an Asian film, but I mean it in the sense of these are real human emotions, and these are real things that I can see happen in the consequences of our actions.
Yeah.
And I think showing that in this type of a film is so beautiful, and we don't need to see that they're together, or they most certainly aren't together. We just need to see those raw human reactions based on their actions.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect film. That's a human moment for me, and I like that in film.
Yeah.
I would also just slap it at number 1.
Oh, nice.
That's what I want to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Wow.
I just feel like it did really well what film should do, and we're obviously all spectators as audiences, but as a spectator, I still felt so like intimately involved in their relationship, and I think they did that well with having them together and just seeing them speak like Korean just with each other, but getting to witness that as an audience member, I'm like, I feel so involved, and then it just makes me so sad when it doesn't work out how I want it to.
Yeah.
What makes me feel sad is that these 2 were the first 2 you picked, because these are my easy 1 and 2. Past Lives, I saw it when it came out, which was now like 8-9 months ago, and it's
came out
maybe
a
little bit less, but it's stuck with me like no other film has. I can't stop thinking about it.
This film I watched on a plane. So that tells you how long ago it was. It was enough for it to be so good that they were like, oh, let's just put it on the internet films.
Yeah.
And I think there's shades of some other like long romance films for the past. One that came to mind originally when I first saw it was In the Mood for Love by Wong Kar-wai, which is an early 2000s film. Just the way it talks about a very specific type of relationship that doesn't work out, or does. I'm not going to spoil a 20-year-old movie, but and just what that kind of love really means. And there's different kinds of love. And if you've ever had a relationship like this with someone, which maybe you haven't, but if you've had a relationship where it's like things just didn't work out and there was no real reason for it, that movie really hits very hard.
I do want to say really quickly, talking about like another thing about how it's very human and everything like that. I really, really loved how the purpose of this story was not like a love triangle, like which a lot of films do. It was just, this is the story, here it is. And like, that's what I was meaning about like the husband in it too. Like he was very much just like, if we're gonna be in this relationship, I have to trust you. So you can go do whatever, like go see him, go do this. Like I have to trust you if we're gonna be in this relationship. And that's such a real thing, I think, in adult relationships, is that you kind of just have to be like, do your own thing. I have to, in this relationship, trust you. So please just go do whatever you want. So I really loved that, and I really think it's a great film.
So we've got a 4 and a 1.
Yeah, so now you guys, where are you putting it? Are we meeting in the middle? Are we debating?
I'm okay with a 3 or 2. I wouldn't put it at 1, me personally. It is fantastic, but I'm
again,
down
we're
for
only
like a
on
2
number
or 3.
2.
I know, that's why I'm
Or we can
Sit
move
it
things
at
later.
1 for now, and then
reorganize
Fight
later.
later.
reorganize
Yes,
later.
I can't
Yeah, we can do
reorganize
that
later.
too. Okay,
You just-
we'll put it at
you
1
just
for
need
now.
to see it at
I
1.
want to see it at 1.
Okay, let's
Under
see it at
best.
1 for now.
We'll feel how we feel.
What Peter wants for now before
Yeah,
we start
perfect.
shifting.
Let's go.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Film
All
critique.
right, number 3 we have the zone of interest.
Yes, I
Okay.
gave them a little sneak peek of what this was about. I know we didn't have a full watch of this one, but
This
given
one came out
everything
of
you
surprise
know,
Yeah.
for me.
yes.
Go ahead.
Well, I given what you've said, because I don't think I've fully seen this one completely. I've seen the trailer and all those different things, but I personally like how it looks, like how it was shot, looked fantastic, and also it just being a film that's based on, you said it's based on a true story, correct?
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a biopic.
Are
we'll
you?
get on. Oh my God, I love a biopic. So we'll get to the other ones, but like I'm a sucker for a biopic. But I think that it sounds like it was beautiful. I love when a film will just choose to be silent instead of putting something in there to make you feel something. It's like you should feel something just from the conversation, just from them being human. And so like I think I love the fact that they chose different spots to take out music and just be real and just have that
crazy that you
moment.
said humans just being humans, because it's such a, just obviously knowing what this film, the Nazis, and like, yeah, for them, and I'm not glorifying nor advocating for, but it was a job, you know, for them it was their 9-to-5 job that they had to do, and to put that in a film like this, to be like, oh, this is a guy with a family and he shows up to work, and the, you know, the kids and the mom are, you know, outside playing, and in the background you just hear the guns and the fire chambers going, and it's just like, it's weird. It's weird to put that, to flip it, because all we know is the atrocities and the horror, but to see the other side of it, of a guy going to a 9-to-5 job, it's like, it humanizes them in a way, but I don't even want to give that to them.
I think that's kind of what the point of the film is, right? It's like these people who you see as evil aren't seeing their actions as necessarily evil, which in a way is more dangerous. I think that's what the point of the filmmaker, and I've read some stuff before this about what the filmmaker was trying to say, and like basically that the intent of the actions doesn't necessarily matter, and any one of us, if we're not careful, can be caught up in something like this. And I think that's very powerful. As a Jewish person, I have, you know, strong feelings about the Holocaust, obviously, but I'm happy it was made by Jonathan Glazer, a Jewish director. So
one thing I've heard from a lot of actors is that whenever they play a villain, they have to realize that the reason they're playing, like the way they have to play a villain is, I don't agree with this, but like also them just being like, well, the villain doesn't know that they're the villain.
Well, that's the thing. You don't know. You can't judge your character leading in, and none of these people, like you said, they don't know. They think that they're doing something right for their country, and so us having the knowledge, you know, years beyond, of course we're going to look at it differently, but he's doing this for his family. You know? That being said,
so we have to rank it.
Yeah, we're
None of us have seen
okay.
it, so the internet's going to roast us.
This is a bias of mine when it comes to biopics, when it comes to stuff like that. I personally, as much as I can credit the cinematography, as much as I can credit like the acting, all that stuff like that, I do not like biopics that are from the perspective of a villain, because I don't like humanizing villains personally. That is just me. But so I probably would put it lower on the list. just because of that, but it is nothing against the acting, the cinematography. It's purely I don't like biopics that are from the perspective of a villain.
That's okay.
So,
this is that's your ranking.
And I don't like biopics in general.
Oh, really?
So,
okay. That's a nice contrast, though.
I'd say let's put that at 8 for now.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Without having seen it,
just put it at 8, knowing that there are movies, because you haven't seen this, but
Can I put
you
it at
know
9?
that there are movies.
Yeah, you could put it at 9.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
A movie you think is lower than this.
Yes, and
maybe
I think it's
maybe.
probably going to be different for both of us.
Maybe. We'll move it around. I think we'll sit it here for now, and we'll maybe
I'm gonna
move it
emphasize. So haven't seen you haven't seen this. You would still think there's a movie lower than
That you have seen.
That I have
I'm
seen,
gonna put it
yes.
at 10, actually.
Okay.
Personally, that is
Haven't
just
seen
me.
it based on what I've read, based on the critiques I've read, based on the little bits I've seen, and the things from the author. There is one that I would put.
Oh my God,
lower.
let's get to that one. I'm excited.
Oh, God.
What if she
Moving
shows it
on,
right
then,
now?
we have The Holdovers.
Holdovers. Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Is this, hold on, is this the one that you're going to put at the bottom?
I know,
I enjoyed this one.
God.
This is the
go
one
first.
where I can't decide if it's where it is in the top 4.
Yeah.
Honestly, The Holdovers is the hardest choice for me.
Yeah.
I can see it being 1. I can see it being 4. I vacillate wildly. I think ultimately it's superb filmmaking, and really the only thing that I think holds it back from being a 1 under Past Lives in American Fiction is I don't think it has quite as much to say, and it does as good a job as those do of portraying a story. And I think those two have just a little bit more to say, which is why I put it slightly below them. But
I agree with you, and I'm so glad you said that because it nailed it on the head. And you know me, a lot of my friends are film critics, and we're very much in the movie industry.
Yeah.
And this was the last movie of the because I could not for the oomph of me, and I love Paul Giamatti, but just like. I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, and you know me, I'm also an avid book reader, romancer, but if you're gonna have a good story, have a good fucking cover. Spend some time on the cover.
Yeah.
And I just, this makes me feel like early 80s, and that's kind of even the tone and the film style, the cinematography. They had that kind of like old 80s, early 70s, like 70s, sorry, 70s. I fixed it. Wash over the imagery. And so for me, I knew it was going to be slow. I knew it was going to be more about the talking and the human connections, and it's just that slow pace. I knew
That's
it was
what
gonna
I
be hard for
really
me.
loved.
I know, but I wasn't there mentally, and it made it even worse when every single one of my film critique or recommender friends were like, this is the greatest movie, this is the one. And I'm looking at all these other great ones, and I'm like, how? Impossible.
I personally, the reason I think that this movie is fantastic is because it is so difficult to write a script where it's silent. And that's an ongoing thing with the Oscars is that, and even the movies that are up here, a lot of them are silent, if that makes any sense. Like, they're very quiet movies. Like, they're A24 type vibe, like that type of thing.
They allow you to chew it.
Yeah, exactly. And so one thing that I really loved about Holdovers is that it is so difficult to write something that is quiet and slow and serious at times, but make it funny at times.
Yes.
And there was so many parts in this where I was like dying laughing. Like, and even my mom and I were watching it together, and she grew up in a school that was private and around like God and all this stuff like that. So she was even watching it and it was just like, yeah, we would do that. Yeah, that's totally what we do. Like when he was drinking out, I don't know what it's called, but the cup. He was drinking out of the cup. She started dying laughing, just being like, yep, that's something that all the kids always wanted to do was drink out of that cup. So like, I really loved that. I really loved the acting, and I totally forget that the actress's name. I know she got.
Randolph?
Yeah, there is one part where I always
Was it the
watch.
party scene? Was it her at the party scene or?
No, it was the part where she was sitting down at the couch and she was talking to, I forget all the characters' names, but she was talking to the older gentleman. And there was one part where I always look at it, sometimes when I'm watching films, especially if I'm gonna critique them, I kind of look at them from the point of view of this was just writing on a script and then you acted it out. And there's one part where she kind of just goes da-da-da, and she's thinking, and then she says the line, and I'm just that was genius. You thought about the line and then you said, it's just little things like that. I was just you are just a beautiful human being for this role. And it is also so difficult to write something that's just based around 3 characters constantly.
Yes.
So that's why I personally would put it higher, because they took a lot of risks with the writing. They took a lot of risks with just having 3 people be the main characters and it be silent. So I would put it higher, just because I feel like it was really good.
I agree.
Really
I like it high.
3?
Also, this is my best actor and best supporting actress.
I agree.
I think
I agree.
We can get to Oppenheimer. Obviously, that's the big one we're going to talk about with Best Actor. But I think Paul Giamatti does a lot more interesting work. And I'm not saying Cillian Murphy doesn't do amazing work. It's just, I think Paul Giamatti does more interesting work with less material, which is why I think he should be Best Actor. I'm not, no shade
okay.
on
We can
Cillian.
have that show later on who we think is going to rank it.
But that's what I
We all know.
So what do we think about
What
do we think about it as Best Picture?
I say 3.
Three.
Three.
Yeah, let's put it at 3. It definitely has to be high up there.
3, because we still have Past Lives that's kind of floating up there.
We can reorganize
Yeah,
later.
I feel like we're still
We
kind
just want
of
to put them on the board.
Let's get
just
them on
putting
the
them on the
board.
board. Yeah.
All right, so next up we have Anatomy of a Fall.
Did she or didn't she? Did she or didn't she?
Yeah.
We both watched this last night. Yeah.
So the thoughts are
So
fresh
it's very
then.
Yeah, they're
fresh.
very fresh. You go first.
I'll go first. I really love this movie. I think it does a lot. I think it's another movie that is both doing something interesting from a plot standpoint and from a point and story standpoint. It's not just a did she or didn't she. There's a lot of commentary on how and it's pretty subtle too, about how women are treated in times of trial versus men, and I really like how subtle that is.
I just love her procedural.
And it's just
love her
gripping. It's gripping. The only thing that keeps me from putting it a little bit higher up is I think there is a little bit of wasted space, dead space.
In what?
In the sort of the middle section before they get to the trial, I think there's a little bit where the shots are a little bit too long. I don't think it's a problem. I have this very high. That's why I don't have it above.
The pacing kind of loses it for you.
I think that it's just a hair too slow in the middle.
But I mean, it's enough for you to say it.
Yes.
So for you, that is.
That keeps it from being in the contention for the top 3 to me, but I definitely have it in this 4 or 5 range.
Yeah, I would put it in the 4 or 5 range too. I just want to say, just off the bat, first thing I'm gonna say, they should start having animal Oscars.
Oh, absolutely.
That dog
Or
is slaying.
Messi did win an award.
Oh yeah, that dog was eating.
So
There was some scenes that was just the dog, and I was like, when's the
Snoopy?
dog's gonna start getting the
Snoopy, yep.
Oscars? Because they were so good. But anyways, I really liked it. I think one thing that I love about films that are half in English, half in another language is that it makes you pay attention, because you're gonna not if you don't speak the language, it's you're not gonna be able to understand what's going on if you don't fully pay attention. Yeah. And so that was something that I really loved in this. I really loved the actors in it, even though there were actors that I personally, some of them I wasn't familiar with. I was just I understand why you're in this movie. You're extremely talented, and I really love it a lot. I loved how it was shot in different aspects. I love that it kind of took places in the same kind of areas and everything, but still kind of kept them interesting. And so I definitely think I would put it at 6, 7 for me too, just in comparison to all the other movies that I know are up here. I really love movies like this where they're very kind of who did it type of thing, but
makes
because
you think, and even when the movie is over, you're still left with, guys, what do you think?
Yeah. Exactly. And I love movies like that, but I think just because the other movies also had a slower pace, but brought Holdovers brought comedy in some ways, and Past Lives brought love and made you feel other emotions. This one kind of just made me feel one
just
emotion.
Suspicious.
I think that I would put it at a 6 or 7.
So you said 6 or 7. You said 4 or 5.
So then can we put it at 5 for now?
We can put it at 5. Yeah, we can put it at 5.
It's interesting. These top 5 movies. I'm not usually a slow movie guy. I love Marvel movies. So what does that say about me?
This one's not too slow.
But the 4 I have, 4 up there. I don't know. There's a lot of contemplative films there this year, and I wonder if that says something about how during the pandemic we all spent a lot of time just thinking, and so the movies that came out this year, a lot of them do seem a lot more contemplative.
Maestro. Maestro.
Okay.
What are we thinking about
Why
this
don't you
one?
go first?
Oh God. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, where are we?
Okay. So first of all, just want to say, Bradley Cooper directed this, correct? Can I just put out there how difficult it is to direct and act in your own film in the
very
lead?
Difficult.
That is chef's kiss for him to be able to be an actor and not just stay in that and step into directing, but then also challenge himself by being a director and an actor in something, then getting an Oscar.
Sure.
Love. I personally liked it. Again, I really like biopics.
Sure.
So I enjoy it, but I also question, would I have enjoyed it more if I didn't like biopics or that type of thing. So I enjoyed it.
I think the answer is No.
I was like, now
I
for
think it is
the
a
person who doesn't like
fine
biopics.
music biopic.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't do anything particularly special. It is doesn't mean it's not great. It's great.
Yeah.
So is Walk the Line.
I personally don't think, and this is, I know I'm not being ranking. I don't know why this one is.
I don't.
on here.
I think it's easy 10 for me. You asked. I think it's the easy 10. Because I don't think it's transcendent in any way. And that's my point about Zone of Interest. I haven't seen it, but I know at least there's something interesting and transcendent about it, and I just don't think there's anything.
And it's a unique point of view. You know, it's a unique point of view.
Yes.
I don't know, other than his sexuality.
Yep.
I just.
But that's also been done in other biopics as well.
Yeah, I think one thing in this that, again, I will talk about it more when we get to Oppenheimer, but in this, I know that there were some black and white parts and there were some color parts, and I really loved that. I really thought it was cool, but I felt like in Oppenheimer had a reason for that.
Yes.
Whereas this didn't, but it didn't necessarily have to look like that. But with Oppenheimer, once you find out why it's that, it's like, okay, there's a reason. But anyways, I truly like it. Personally, if it was me, I would put it at 9, and I would put
at 10.
at
Zone
a
just because
10.
you haven't seen it?
No, not even that. Just, again, I don't like movies that are from a villain's perspective, like a real villain, like not like a made-up character, but like somebody that existed and trying to humanize them.
We love Megamind.
Yeah, we love Megamind. I'll get a biopic about Megamind.
We both have them split at 9 and 10. So if they're in the right spot.
We will have
I know the hosts aren't supposed to give
No,
their
and we will
opinion.
not. You guys will have to. We will have no sway in this.
You really want to put it at 9.
I really want to put it at 9.
I don't know. I'm having not seen Zone of Interest. I don't think I can argue enough. I will say 2 things about Maestro before we table it. I think Carey Mulligan also does a great job. I don't think it's transcendent enough to be there instead of Margot Robbie or Greta Lee. I think both of them do much more interesting work with much harder characters.
Shout out to y'all.
Greta Lee, honestly, I think is the real. I mean, Margot Robbie's a huge snub, but I think Greta Lee is a unbelievable snub.
Fair enough.
And the one thing that holds me back, I understand why I don't have as much of a critique of it as some other people do, but it just weirds me out just slightly as a Jewish person that the only thing they changed in his face was his prosthetic nose. It just makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. It just, it's not a.
No,
it
you
makes me
can
feel
say
a
that.
little
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
You can say that.
That is understandable.
It's just ever so slightly, like not.
You could say it. It's
enough. But I know, because I think there is a point, and I think there's a lot of respect for that. I'm not saying, but that's.
No, yeah.
So we're going.
And also, you were totally
Or
valid
Zone
for
of
saying
Interest.
that. You're so
And
good.
Maestro.
So Zone is staying at
let's
9,
do that.
Maestro's
Yeah.
at 10.
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful. All right, we
Alright.
got 4
Yeah,
more.
we're making progress.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of the
Oppenheimer.
Okay, I'm gonna leave my thoughts till after.
No,
you go.
no, please. No, okay. You gotta go.
I can throw it up somewhere and then y'all can.
Yeah, we can fling it.
So here's my thing. First off,
Did you
I
like
have
the
a couple
glitter?
things to say
Was
about
it
this.
enough glitter?
Was
it enough glitter?
Yeah, there was
specs
not enough
for
glitter.
you?
I'm kind of pissed about it. But they, one thing that I will say is that I tried to watch it the first time and I ended up not being able to watch it. But then I went back and watched it again.
Yep.
And one thing I kept hearing was how fastly paced it was, and I was kind of just like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go see it and everything. And I.
Sorry,
Do you want to say something?
I said bitchware, but I said because I Barbenheimered.
Okay.
So I Barbenheimered. So we did the like 9:15 showing of Oppenheimer,
Yikes.
and then went to brunch. And then did Barbie. So I was in a state of mind. And so my first time watching it, because I did watch it again later.
Yeah.
My first time watching it was hard. It was hard. It was a lot of glittery specs. And I walked out of that theater being like, I know for damn sure there was a way that this could have been an hour 15. I know that. And I even watching the second time, I felt like, but this isn't about me. I have my.
You have opinions. It's
I have
valid.
my opinions, but I'm going to go back to
I'm
you guys.
surprised. I'm so happy that we are all on the same page here, because Oppenheimer, sorry internet, is my 7 or 8 maybe.
Really?
I think, like so many Christopher Nolan films, there are so many things wrong with it that we just all ignore because it does good plot. Christopher Nolan is great at 3 things, in my opinion, many things, but I think what he really excels at is directing actors. He always gets amazing performances out of his actors, telling story in terms of like a story, and organizing, plot, telling plot, and pace, like ramping up tension. He's very good at those three things. And that's in all of his movies. Incredible plot, incredible acting, and incredible tension ramp up. And this movie is that and nothing else to me. I think it is 3 separate movies that each could have been their own film. I think it is a biopic of Oppenheimer, which is one film. It is a like Heist About the Bomb, which is another film that doesn't feel like it's the same film as the Oppenheimer thing. And then the third aspect is the McCarthyist trial of Oppenheimer, which is really interesting and an important part of his life, but I also think should be its own film. Oppenheimer talks so much about what that bomb meant to him and what being the creator of that meant, and I don't think the film really touches on it enough. You're making a movie about one of the biggest
I'll even
tragedies
qualify
of our
that.
time.
I'll qualify that with I needed more emotion on the after effects.
Yes,
I needed that
absolutely.
was the one
we get
thing.
2 scenes, one
Barely even that, and it's almost like just the stomping on the bleachers. Like that was our emotional impact on this film, and that's
fantastic.
That is the human connection that these movies need, and I get it. You know, a lot of times Oscar movie winners, sometimes they're just, like you said, it just has the palette, the checkboard of what we're looking for, but it doesn't go beyond that. You know, it doesn't make a lasting impact. And I just feel like this movie, unfortunately, was made to check boxes. And it's really unfortunate because if it would have just been a movie of Oppenheimer, a biopic on Oppenheimer, and we saw what this did when he finally realized what the impact of an atom bomb is, and he won a Nobel Prize because he changed the world, and what that means to win a Nobel Prize for death.
Even though I had a hard time the first time watching it, I think it was just because I wasn't in the right mindset to watch it. When I finally sat down and watched it, I looked at it from the perspective of again, I'm a huge fan of biopics. I watch so many different ones. And one thing that I've noticed in biopics that completely frustrates me actually is when they change what has happened for the sake of theatrics. And I really, really don't like that because of the fact that if you're making a movie about someone's story, there should already be a story there. So why are you changing stuff? So one thing I really loved about Oppenheimer is that the things that are in black and white, from what I've been told, are what happened. The things that are in color are left up to speculation. And I really loved that because I actually was thinking before I watched this, I was like, I really wish in like biopics they would tell us if something really happened or didn't happen. And then when I found out that they did it in this, I was like, that is absolutely genius.
It's a genius way
to do it. It is genius of doing that. And I loved that. I really loved the acting. I personally really loved the pacing, just me personally.
The second time
because around. Because again, the first time I think I just wasn't in the right headspace to watch a 3-hour movie. I would put it at 1 or 2. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because, I'll even say 1, 2, or 3. The reason I'm saying that is because, like I said, it is extremely hard to make a biopic and make you know when it is right or when it is wrong. Or not right or wrong, but when it is real and when it is fake. And I really loved that they showed that because that is something I have a really hard time with. I loved the colors. Also, I really, really, really loved the part, you know how like all of us were waiting for that explosion. We were waiting for that explosion. And when it finally happened, the way I was sitting there and like the explosion happened and all you could hear was him breathing. Like like that whole thing, I just like, I had chills. I was just like, that is genius. Like just you waiting and waiting and waiting, and then it's just all you can hear is just breathing.
I think when you talk about things that were changed, one of the biggest things that people talk about that was changed, I think it was I laughed in the theater when it happened. The I am become death, destroyer of worlds, the like tagline for the movie, which was Oppenheimer reportedly said after the bomb went off, is said when he's having sex.
Yes.
Come on.
It was a very weird choice.
That's such a, it's just the kind of choice that I always see Christopher Nolan make where he's a great filmmaker, but I just don't understand some of his choices. That's not, these top 4/5 movies, they all are so interesting character studies. And I just think it's, in this day and age, to have a movie that is supposedly a biopic but doesn't tell us anything about how Oppenheimer grew and changed is, to me, I think, a waste of a biopic. And I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It is a great movie.
Yeah, there's a reason it's.
Well, I think it's great cinematography. I think the cinematography is great. I think some of the acting is great. But this is the best picture. This is not best.
This is best picture, and I feel like I'm taking crazy pills whenever I talk about a Christopher Nolan film.
That's okay,
because it's
but that's what it does.
Because once you see the exposition, like once you see it happen once, you can't stop seeing it in his movies.
But given all the information that we have, where's it going?
So you want a 1 or 2, I would fight very hard against that, especially because...
Would you be okay putting it at 5?
I'm okay putting it at 5.
Okay, we'll be in the middle.
In order to be not bully, I'll
do you want to put Autonomy of a Fall forward?
Let's put it at 6. I think there's more coming
there's
especially
You're putting
one
this
coming.
here?
Yeah.
Okay.
We
have
especially
3.
because that's so likely to win, and I'm going to be very upset when it does.
It's gonna be a unique world if that one wins.
Have I just accepted it already? I've accepted it already.
All right. So
I'm
next,
already sad for March.
next we have. So how do we feel about Poor Things?
Ooh, those were some.
Emma Stone.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of Emma Stone. Oh God.
Grown woman, mind of a baby.
I feel like you should go first.
I'm like,
That's what it is. That's what happened. No,
Stone.
she literally. That's what the
Has a mind
character
of a
is.
baby.
Mind
I
of a
think
baby.
Poor Things. I really wanted to like it a little bit more than I did, to be perfectly honest. And maybe it was when I saw it. I watched it on Christmas. Being Jewish, going to movies and getting Chinese food is a thing we do. So I actually did a double feature of Poor Things and American Fiction.
Oh,
and
that's
I
a
really
good
liked
double
Poor Things.
feature.
Yeah, it was a fun part of double feature. I like Poor Things. I think for me, it just, in ways, it wasn't quite absurdist enough, and it was slightly too absurdist for not being absurd. I think it was just slightly not absurdist enough for what it was trying to do.
Okay.
Or slightly too absurdist for what, just like on a hair.
I'm very confused on that statement.
Yeah.
I will say, this was one of my most recent, so I think that's 3 movies beyond backwards. So I only saw a little clip of it, and it was the dinner scene. And so I left watching that 2-minute clip of the dinner scene where she's like, I'm gonna go punch that baby. I was like, oh, this seems like a cute movie. And then I watched it.
Yeah.
I was like, there's nothing cute. This movie is A, all over the place, but it tries to be.
Yeah.
And B, it's miserable.
Yeah.
It's not a happy in any way, shape, or form kind of film. And I was flabbergasted. Everyone, this one and the Holdovers are the one that people like, if Saltburn wasn't there, those are the ones that people really enjoyed. And I liked it. I did. Do I think that this is Best Picture worthy? Me? But it's fun. It's a fun movie. Where are we putting it?
I personally, compared to the other movies up here, I would put it at 6. I would put it like there, and it would go down for me.
Anatomy goes down?
Before last night, I had it at 6, and I had it above Anatomy based on what I knew about Anatomy.
I'm okay putting it at 7 if you want to put it at 7. Are you going lower?
No.
Are you
absolutely
both
not.
just at 6?
Yeah,
No?
I think
But
it might
would
be at
Anatomy
6,
go lower
but
is what?
I
Is
do
it lower
think,
than Anatomy?
I do think it does more interesting things than Anatomy of a Fall. And even though maybe I didn't love it as much as some others may have, I think there's an argument to be made that maybe I'm being, well, obviously they're subjective, but that what I don't like about it is not, it's not that I didn't like it, I liked it fine, I just wasn't blown away. But I do think it is more interesting probably than Anatomy of a Fall. Although, yeah, let's put it at 6.
6? Okay. We'll put
I'm
it
just
at
gonna
Anatomy
say,
of a Fall at 7?
Yeah, I feel like
Okay.
in a year from now I'm gonna be really upset I didn't put Anatomy of a Fall higher. But we are where we are.
Oh,
All
God.
right. Second to last film, we have Killers of the Flower Moon.
Just the
I
silence.
always forget about this.
That's telling.
We could just throw it up.
It is telling, but I forget about it in the wrong way. I think
in the wrong way.
yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it did a really good job. I think my biggest critique of it, people talk about the runtime. I think my biggest critique of it is the bad guy is the main character. I really would have liked to see it more from Lily Gladstone's perspective.
I 1,000% agree. And I had a conversation with one of my really good friends, Rosemary, last night about this. We had talked about it because I had just recently watched it. It was one,
Yeah.
And something she brought to my attention, because I couldn't figure out why I didn't like the film necessarily, but it was that the whole point of this film is at the end he goes to jail and he gets the repercussions of his actions. But the way that the film does it is they don't even show that. They do it over the radio. And so all of this, like, and it's not really a white hero savior movie. It truly is a white bad guy movie that kind of gets away with bad things. But right when we find out that this white guy is and his dad are finally they do it over the radio.
Yep.
They don't even show it.
Yeah.
And so, and they talk about everything, like Lily divorcing him, just all of the triumph that this entire culture gets. It's gone, or it's more under the rug, I guess. They don't get that triumph and that celebration of we did it. It just is kind of done on the radio, and I don't know why it was diminished or muted.
Same thing that I said with the zone of interest. Like you said, I really don't like films that are taking place from the perspective of a villain. I think it is very good to do when it comes from like fictional or stuff like that. But when it comes down to like a real person that existed that did things that is just not really okay or stuff like that, it's like I just am not a big fan of that. I feel like it should have been like following someone else, and it's no reflection on, like, I feel like the actors themselves, like the acting, great. But when it comes to like the storytelling of it, it's like there's people that you should pay attention to and there's people that you should follow. And I don't feel like following the necessarily like bad guy and stuff like that is always the smartest move, because yes, like that's where all the conflict happens, but that's not where all the heart is.
So I do have to wrap up because we're getting into
okay, gotcha.
So here's what I'll say. I think I agree with the critiques, although I think of all the movies that are sort of in what we're putting in the bottom 5, other than Anatomy of Fall, if this one's Best Picture, I don't think I'd be upset about it. I think it has very legitimate reasons to win Best Picture in a way that some of these other films don't. You're fighting for Oppenheimer. I would put this above Oppenheimer, but
well, we've got 4, so
that's
we're gonna
fine.
set it at
No,
4.
with the last
4 or
movie here,
8?
we're not putting that at 4.
I would
put this at
4.
I think I might put this at 6.
Yeah.
I think it does enough good things to deserve to be the 6th spot.
Now.
Oh yeah, bring
We know what's coming.
Yeah.
We have Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie.
So
We're
are we
getting
rearranging?
everything.
Are we putting this at 4?
Okay. I have
1. Do we think it should go at 1? Would it go at 1? Can it be at 1?
Spitball.
Let's just talk about Margot Robbie and the director.
Very
cried.
quickly.
Very sad. But I personally, I think it is very, very difficult to make a film that is about a Barbie doll and make it have heart, make it human, and also her choosing to make it like one thing when I walked out of Barbie that I was like, it was like, you chose to make people feel included. You chose people to feel seen, even though the entire movie followed a white woman. Like, you know, it's like you still had people there and they were seen and involved and everything like that. And I really, really, really loved that. Like, she showed everybody and I really thought that was beautiful. I loved the like funniness of it, the seriousness of it, everything. Personally, it's one of the top ones for sure because it had so many different feelings.
I agree. I think it is very hard for the Academy to accept that comedies can be good, but it is a comedy that has a lot of heart. I think it is a cultural touchstone moment. I think it does great things with what it's supposed to do, and it exceeds in so many ways what we thought it could be. I think that, to me, is what should define what the Best Picture is, but that's not what the Best Picture ever is. So, like...
Well, this is not what the Best Picture should be. It's what if you had the option, which one of these films is going to win Best Picture?
Like, what would you give Best Picture? If this were up to you.
If this were up to you, that's the list that we've been building.
If it was me, for like, if I had a daughter, I would be like, let's watch Barbie, because it made me proud to be a woman. Like, it made me so happy to be a woman, and also feel like men don't have to necessarily like control my whole mental state. It's like I can be a woman and I'm proud and I'm happy and I am awesome. So
and also, you know, it's a great message for men too, a really good message for men about like, hey, you don't have to be tied up to what you think you should be, who you should be, or who you're dating. None of that matters. It's got a great message for everyone. Do I hesitate to put it at 1? I don't.
Why would you hesitate? Put it at 1. Fucking put it at
1. I kind of do, because it just appeals to everybody. It's like, I feel like all these films are for creatives and people love them.
Just do it.
But
Let's do it.
Because
I was like, one of the things I've heard is that like there should be a 5 years later Oscars. Where this is Bill Simmons says
like,
this.
does
There
it
should be a
hold up?
5 years later Oscars where after 5 years you think, what was the actual movie? Like in 2018, why was Get Out not Best Picture? That was the defining movie of the year, and no one, I don't even remember what won 2018. But
I was just looking at that yesterday.
Yeah,
actually.
and it's just like, I feel like we may come back to Barbie in 5 years and be like, wait a minute, that was the only like slight hesitance I had to putting it towards one is like that it is kind of an advertisement.
Sure.
Like that is something I don't love.
So are we happy with this list? Do we want to shift anything around or
last looks?
No,
do we want to move anything?
Honestly, I feel like I'm good with how it looks. I feel like it makes sense. I feel like it also, again, makes sense that Barbie is number one because all these movies I feel like are for artists and for different people individually, but Barbie is for everybody. So I feel like that's why personally it should be at the top because it is
very
for
happy
everyone.
with Barbie at number one.
Yes.
So.
I did not come in expecting Barbie to land at number one. But you know,
you were not expecting?
No, because I don't know. I'm thinking about it in terms of the Academy. But if we're thinking about it not in terms of the Academy,
this is your list.
But this is our list. Yeah, I don't see. You know, Past Lives probably touched me more and probably had a lot more lasting impact this year. But that's not necessarily what Best Picture is. And if someone hasn't had any sort of relationship like that, I think Past Lives does lose a little bit of punch, just a little bit. But there are plenty of people who hate Barbie, but I don't care about them. Yeah, fine. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
All right.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Jasmine,
this is the list. So we've got 4 minutes.
It?
That being said, you guys have an option for your trivia.
Okay. Ooh.
By the way, we're doing trivia.
Oh God, lovely.
You can either have 1 from your top 3 or 3 from Barbie.
3 trivia.
3 trivia questions, yes. And
I'll take 3 from Barbie.
3 from Barbie?
Maybe.
I'm so sorry, Vivian. These are all mine.
Dang.
I'm so sorry.
Why don't we do all 4? Let's go.
All right, here we go. When Barbie heads to the real world, the odometer reads 031959. Why is this significant?
That's the date Barbie was released.
Boom! That's the very first Barbie. Huzzah, huzzah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
That's okay. Number 2. Margot Robbie wore 18 wigs and 30 hair pieces throughout the film. How much was each wig?
Probably like in the hundreds.
In the hundreds.
In the hundreds.
$792.
792. Yikes. No, it's 40K. Yeah. Just the silence is
50.
deafening.
There's a wig store right around the corner.
Well,
You're in the wrong business.
And then
to step up my
last
window.
question. Why does Barbie float from her home and not use her hands while driving?
because that's how you move your dolls down into the
yes,
ground.
absolutely.
Look at that. You guys got 2 out of 3.
Well, that is our show. Did you guys agree with their list? What would you guys put as your number 1 film? We're going to find out what it is on March 10th anyway, and hopefully Barbie is the winner. But until then, please make sure you follow both Caoimhe and Peter. Their handles are going to be down below. Once again, I want to thank my host, Vivian, for also being the Oppenheimer to my Barbie. And we will see you all again for the next show. Thanks for watching.